So we're winding down the last chapter of 2 Thessalonians. In chapter 3, verse 11, Paul writes, "We hear that some among you are idle." So what's apparently happened, and I get such a kick out of this, is that Paul had been talking about the second coming of Christ, and this particular small little church, beginning church, was super stoked about this thought that the resurrected Christ would come back and rescue them from the very difficult life that they were living. And so some of the guys were using the second coming as an excuse to get out of work. They were apparently sitting around saying, "Hey, we don't need a job. Don't need a job. Christ is coming tomorrow. We're good. Rent? Nah, I don't need to pay the rent. Christ is coming tomorrow." So they were using this kind of religious thought as an excuse to avoid responsibilities in life. And when I think about that, at first I was thinking, gosh, what a bunch of crazy guys. I mean, that is the most ridiculous thing. I thought about it a little bit more deeply, and I thought, maybe that's not so far from the truth of my life, maybe yours, maybe a lot of our lives. Sometimes we think that the most important question in life is there life after death? In the church, we think about that a lot. But maybe, as somebody once said, the more important question is there life before death? That's a pretty important question. Right now, why did God give you breath? And we go back all the way to Genesis, and we see this beautiful, intimate picture of God bending over Adam and breathing into his nostrils. And from a distance, it must have looked like a kiss. And so God, in his intimate love for us, gives us this thing called life. And what do? We end up wasting it to a huge degree out of our fears and our worries, and probably a lot of times being caught up in the drama of our families, unhealthy cultural systems that we get ourselves involved in, and even unhealthy religious systems like these folks found themselves in. I had a friend, or still have a friend, and I think this was all inspired from the movie Braveheart. William Wallace, and the speech he gives before they go into battle. A lot of us are probably familiar with that. And we used to say to each other when we saw each other, "Today's a good day to die." It was kind of this noble thought that we would just sacrifice our lives for whatever it was that came before us that day. And there's truth to that, and that is not just a noble thought, but it is a good thought, because God does ask us to give our lives away, to do good, and to love others. But out of that thought, I recently wrote a little article here called Paradigm Shift. And it says here, "It is a good day to live." I used to say with a feeling of masculine pride, "It's a good day to die," which conjured up for me biblical images of righteous sacrifice and noble surrender. Today I say with gratitude, "It's a good day to live," and memorialize with gladness the genesis of God breathing his breath of life into my nostrils. I celebrate the glory of being a human, which includes all of my talents, feelings, intellect, sexuality, body, soul, as well as all my limits, brokenness, and failings. Today I have life. I am alive. I am a human, and God loves human beings. It's as if he can't help it. That's what he does. God loves human life, even to the extent of becoming human himself and living in a body of feelings, senses, and limits. I don't have to do anything except be human to remain loved, enjoyed, amused, and delighted by God. Wow. It's a good day to live.